and his people. She's passionate about supporting women to have their dream marriage and getting their life back. So join us October 28th at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We will be having a live discussion on our continuing topic, let go of what is not serving you. It's all about love, folks, trust, respect, connection, intimacy, communication, and so much more. We'll see you then. God bless.
You're tuned to High Ground Gospel Radio, making the time 5 o'clock. At this time, you're now invited to listen to the program Transforming Your Relationships with Elder Bonitto Grange and his guest. He'll be introducing his guest this evening. Stay tuned. This is Higher Ground Gospel Radio.
Higher Ground Gospel Radio Station is inviting you to tune in this Friday, October the 28th at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time to Transforming Your Relationship. I will be your host, Bonitto Grange, your relationship and life coach. Joining me will be my good friend, Heather Pieknick, who is also a Christian and relationship life coach, serving God and his people. She's passionate about supporting women to have their dream marriage and getting their life back. So join us October 28th at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We will be having a live discussion on our continuing topic, let go of what is not serving you. It's all about love, folks, trust, respect, connection, intimacy, communication, and so much more. We'll see you then. God bless. Ain't no smiling. Welcome again, one more time, to Higher Ground Gospel Station with me, Bonitto Grange, your host, your relationship and life coach. And joining me would be my good friend Heather, which we'll hear a little bit about her here shortly. So just a little bit a recap here from our last week session that we have here. We started off last week with scripture, Philippians chapter 3, verse 13, where Paul mentioned, brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, reaching forth unto those things which are before. And so what Paul was here mentioned, as we had mentioned before, is in order for me to move forward, I've got to learn to let go of some things. We mentioned about letting go of regrets. We mentioned about letting go of anger. We mentioned about letting go of disappointments. We spoke about also why it's important to let go of what is not serving us. So we're going to continue of our topic tonight, and letting go of what is no longer serving you. So you've heard a little bit about me. I'll tell you a little bit about myself after Heather, but we're going to bring Heather in now. So she's a beautiful young lady, a good friend of mine. We connected some years ago, and it was like I've known her for a lifetime. You know, some folks you meet like that, you feel like you've met them for a lifetime. So I'm going to introduce her. She's going to tell you a little bit about herself, how she got started. So Heather, come on in. She's coming live to you from beautiful Victoria.
Hello. Hi, everybody. And hi, Bonitto. Thank you so much for the invite. Thanks for having me on and just sharing this passion, sharing all about relationships. It is my passion. This is my passion to come alongside women, to help them, serve them, to have the relationships they've always wanted, and to make them great, because it's difficult out there. You know, there was no course we could ever take in high school or college that was marriage 101. Like, who did we learn this from? How do we do this? This is tricky. This is complex, and it's hard work. I really feel like God put this work on my heart a long time ago. I have a real passion for marriage and for successful marriages, and keep families together, and for kids to grow up in loving homes. It's just a really big dream of mine for everybody. And it just matters a ton to me. I love working with women all over the world. The cool thing about coaching, about relationships, or coaching period, is that we get to do it by phone or by Zoom. And so there's no limits. It's not just the ladies down the road, but it's anywhere. And I just love that part of coaching. I've been married for 28 years. My husband's name is Mike. He's an amazing guy. I learned so much from him, and I learned so much about myself hanging out with him. So those are kind of two challenges for me, and lots of fun. We have a blast. We've got two grown sons, and now I've got a little granddaughter who's rocking my world. So that's a super fun stage of life too. I know, Bonitto, you just became a grandpa too, so we've got that in common also.
Yes, 4 months ago, all my rules went out the door.
Right? Now we get to be those people that we just watched and laughed at before. Super fun. Coaching is, I do both types of coaching. I do coaching with women individually, and I also really, really enjoy and believe in group coaching. Working with women in small groups
Hmm.
helps them to encourage each other during the learning and growing, and we get to learn from each other and our own experiences. We get to share our wins and losses because we have those every day in our marriages, where you say the thing or you don't say the thing,
Right.
and it just helps us to encourage each other of how we show up in our marriages every day, because it's a choice, and I didn't know that before. That's been new for me for a long time ago. But I also love that women working together can recognize their stories instead of actually looking for facts, and to be really careful that we aren't meaning making machines, that we make everything mean something when really it doesn't have to.
Mm.
So that's a cool part about coaching, is coming alongside individuals or doing it as a group. This work, Benito, as you already know about this about me, is I live for this. I love this. It's what I love to do in life.
You know.
It's my passion. And I'm really grateful God's put it on my heart, and grateful He's given me many opportunities to serve in this way. It's just the best.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, just by the way you're speaking it, you can feel the passion, you can feel the love,
Yeah.
and like anything else. When it comes to ministry, you have to love people, whether you're
Yeah.
coaching, whether you're a Christian or whatever. It's just so much easier when you just learn to love people and just to even love their indifference, because it's their indifference that actually help us to connect on another level. It's in our difference that help us to know that individual from another perspective, rather from my own perspective, because when we look on individuals, we see it from our eyes, and from our eyes, it's our reality. Excuse
Yeah.
me, it's
You're
our
right.
fact. But when I look with another set of lens, I've always said, when I put another set of lens on, I look at life a little bit different, and I get to understand them a little bit more. So
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that, and likewise myself too. It's been quite a few years that the Lord has. Has put me in this area of relationship coaching. And actually, how it actually started, just a little bit about my background, is about two or three couples came to my wife and I and said, "Hey, you guys, why don't you guys start a couple session?" I said, "Oh, really? Couple session? No, that's not going to happen." Shortly after that, another couple came in and said the same thing, a different couple, I think about three. So the third time it says, "Okay, God, I hear you loud and clear. This is
Hmm.
the avenue. This is the path I need to go on." So prior before COVID, we are doing that for about over 10 years, meeting with the young couples about once every 3 months. And some individual has said that their marriage was even saved because of those conversations that we had on a regular basis, right? So
Yeah.
I like myself. I don't just work with just couples or marriage couples, but also individual that's pursuing or want to pursue a relationship. We dive into that a little bit about what that would look like, and even to the fact that if they're even ready to have a relationship, it might be an idea, but are you really ready to dive into this thing? This is not like a walk in the park. This is something that has to be intentional, something that you're focused on, something that you have to know what you want, right? And it just makes it
Hmm.
easier. Like I'd mentioned to you before too, and to folks online, is three questions I'll ask individuals: is know what you want, know why you want it, and know what you need to do in order to get what you say you want. So I
Beautiful.
love the work, and I'm passionate about it, just like yourself. And
Hmm.
by the way, folks, those that are listening, you can always touch base with us by calling in on HGG Radio, and they can direct you to Heather or myself, and we offer free complimentary coaching session. That could be 30 minutes, could be 45 minutes. We're not so picky on time wise, because like ourselves, we believe on serving individuals powerfully so that lives can be changed one conversation at a time.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna ask Heather some questions. We're gonna go back and forth. So, folks, this is just a conversation. Those that are listening, you can always feel free to chime in, and we can have that conversation with you, because this is a live program. So, Heather, what are some things that you have learned in your relationship when it comes to letting go? That's what the whole conversation is about tonight. It's about letting go of what is not serving you. So, what are three things that you'd like to share with us and share with the audience about how that has impacted your relationship and other areas of your life, and just learning how to let go?
Thanks, Benito. Yeah, that it's a big question, and I have to be honest. When you ask me for three, it's like I can give you 33. That's the sad part. Like there's so many things to let go of, right? Like it
So
just
true.
is goes on and on, sadly.
Just real.
Um, Just three. We only have time for three. Okay, fine.
Okay.
I'll have to come back and visit you again. Yeah, as I watch other women, as I watch myself, my number one is first one is control. When I
Mm,
can let go of thinking I need to have control over everything, especially control over my husband.
mm,
It's not my job and it doesn't serve me. It actually puts a wedge between us when I decide that I know best. And I do know best, but that's the problem. That's
wow.
where it all begins, right?
Is that something with all women, Heather, or just you?
Oh, I I'd like to say I would yeah, it's all of us. I think most of us.
Say,
Not everybody's willing to admit it like I am, but I have come to see that my control issues are a big part of where we struggle in our marriage or have struggled in our marriage. And since
okay.
I clean this up and have awareness, not
Hmm.
perfect at it, I still slip and fall into that mess and
Right.
muck once in a while. And I get the look or the little head turn of like, really, you're really going to go there, Heather? But staying on my own page, controlling
Hmm.
my own, I can only control me. I can't control anybody else in their life.
Right.
And when I figured that out, everybody saw that. It's made a huge impact on my relationship and all my relationships. When I stay on my own page and not telling my sons what I think they should do or my opinion or whatever, it makes a big difference. Like it doesn't put a wedge between us anymore. Like I didn't know it was, but it was for a long time. And my suggestions, to find out that my suggestions or my bossing, in actual fact, cause my husband to hear that as criticism. That was a shocker
Mm,
to me. If I'm just being helpful, and I think I'm a really helpful wife, like I've been a helpful wife for 28
mhm.
years, and to find out that's not heard as helpful, but actually heard as criticism was a big one for me. Like I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be being heard that way
Wow.
or showing up that way in my relationship. So
I wonder how many wives actually see it from that perspective. That's
yeah,
crazy.
I don't know. It's been a shocker to all the wives I've worked with. They've
Hmm.
been surprised, like, what? I'm not, no, I'm just helping. I'm just helping to find that parking spot that they should really park in. And and that's not heard. It's heard of, lack of faith in your husband to actually choose the parking spot himself. Like it's
Mm,
just little things that get said or done that set you up for friction, set you up for separation, not being close to each other. And my control is also very much fear based. All control is fear based.
fair base. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it is interesting. And figuring out that to ask myself now when I want to control something, when I want to direct something, we'll call it directing. How that sounds better, right?
Okay.
Um,
Most,
then I have to ask myself now, what am I afraid of right now? What am I afraid of? Well, I'm afraid that it won't be done my way, or I'm
okay.
afraid that that mistake's going to cost us in some way, or that it won't be easy. Like it's just there's just fear there each time. Every time I want to control
Mm,
something, it's fear, and sadly, it's usually fear about it not being done the way I think it should be done.
right. Right.
So
Beautiful.
that's a lot of my hubby. That's not a great way for him to hang out with me. Like I don't want to be that person, and I work very hard now to do it differently, to choose from a different place of just trusting him, having faith in him, and where the cards land is where they land. And it's brought so much more happiness and ease in our relationship. It's taken away so much friction.
Wow.
He's a guy who believes in himself more
Hmm.
now, and I like being part of that. I like showing up in my relationship that way and staying on my page. There's a lot of great stuff on my page to manage and to control, and he can do his own. I don't have to be there jumping on his page. But I have to admit, Benito, there are times where in a weaker day, a moment, I will come in the back door and hope he doesn't see me. Is that okay?
What do you mean? What do you mean? Explain that now. You're coming in the back door. I think I know what you're talking about. Maybe the others don't know about this backdoor business.
Right. So I might try and word it a little differently. Like I might just, sneak it on there a different way and sneak on and say, how's it going over here? And what about this? And what about that, honey? Or what do you think of this?
Well, tell us about the one about the is that okay about the driveway? Is that
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh.
is
Oh,
that
that I had to chew my tongue off with that one almost. My hubby was redoing some concrete, was doing our perimeter drains. So he was lifting a bunch of concrete around our house, and he
mhm,
rented this concrete cutting saw of some sort. And then he came out after he did a bunch of the cutting and he's all finished and took it back already. He said, "Oh, honey, look what I did! Look what I did!" He's all proud of himself and look what I got going here. And my thought was, well, those are pretty big cuts. Like, I think I would have done lots of small cuts to make it much easier to lift that concrete after the fact. But oh my word, Bonito, to hang on to that comment and that suggestion and that question and that
Mm-hmm.
doubt, or judgment, maybe is probably what it flat out is.
Okay.
It killed me to not say the thing, and that it made total sense in my mind. I did ask another fellow I knew, or I know, and he goes, "Oh, Heather, it would have been smarter to, or not smarter, but wiser to make smaller cuts." But anyways, I had it confirmed by someone else, not my husband, and I hung on to that. But you know what? We walked away from each other after that conversation in a great space, a
Mm.
great place, because I didn't need to get jump on his page, but I was
Mm-hmm.
wanting to come in the back door to say, "Are you sure you shouldn't have? Are you sure you couldn't have?"
Okay.
It wouldn't have helped. And it was not. It's not part of my life. It's not part of my page. That's his project, not my project.
Mm.
So I gotta just, yeah, I didn't sneak on. I was really proud of myself. That was a win. That was one of those wins I was talking about. I
Besides,
don't get all the wins, but that one was a win.
besides, you forgot you got your degree in concrete laying and engineering too, right?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, that's one of my specialty, all right. So it's nice to just back off and stay on my own page, and it served us really, really well. And
Beautiful.
it happens daily now, Benito, where if I can when I catch it early enough, hear myself
Mm-hmm.
before I say it,
Right.
it really serves us well for me to let go of me controlling, me jumping on his page and managing his life when I've got my own
Mm-hmm.
to manage. That's a big enough job all by itself.
No, beautiful. As you mentioned that, we did some session here about wife superpower some months back,
Yeah.
and after we did that session, my wife and I went out for a drive that night, and we're coming home, and she says, "Honey, let's go this way," because I was going to go straight, but she wanted to go this way,
Yeah.
and and then I reminded her, "Are you on my page or on your page?" She says, "Okay, okay, turn around, go the way you want to go."
I love it. I love
This
it.
is right after we finished our session, right? And I said, "Now, how about that? Just have that mindset and that awareness.
Yeah.
If we can stay on our pages, it just make things so much more smoother." And I'm not saying she was controlling or nothing, right? Just sometimes we do things unintentionally because she feel that was a shortcut, but I didn't want to go on the highway. I just wanted to just stroll with her. I actually want to spend a little bit more time with her, and it was going to be longer getting home, right?
Yeah.
That was my mindset. But yeah, she
Yeah.
said, yeah, I just got off my
I
page.
love it.
You can turn around. You can turn around, go back to where you want to go.
Yeah.
So
Yes. So true. I love that, Benito.
laughed
And
about that.
driving with my husband's the same way. I have to ask myself, I have to say to myself, let it go, Heather. Just like
Mhm.
your theme here today is let it go.
Right.
Like, you don't have to go there. And I have to ask myself too or a great question to ask myself is, what's it going to cost me? If I
Mm.
open my mouth right now and say, turn here,
Right.
or can we drive a little faster, or can we pick the other lane? And believe me,
Mhm.
all those things are going through my brain all the whole ride. The whole
Absolutely.
ride. I struggle and suffer.
Right.
But when I ask myself or I tell myself, let it go. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let it go. And then ask myself too, if I say it, what will it cost me? What's it going to cost us right now? Is it going to cost the
Mhm.
fun time we're heading to?
Right.
Because I had to say the thing and boss and direct and manage?
Mhm.
Or do I get to go and have a great evening with my husband and not put that wedge between us? So
Right.
those two questions or statements of replacing, because if I'm going to make a new habit of not saying the thing, then I have to tell myself something different. I have to give a
Right.
reason. So
Mm.
let it go, or it's going to cost me too much.
Right. Right. No, beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And so for yeah, go ahead.
No, no, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. And thanks for sharing all that. That's beautiful, as
Yeah.
always. Uh, about myself too. What are some things? Because folks might be asking, or you might be saying, "Okay, so what are some things that you had to let go?" And again, I guess I could tell you pages, or we could be here all night, but I'll just name three.
Hey, love
And
it.
some men can identify with what I'm about to say because I had a client here just recently, and we actually went through one of these scenarios or one of these exercises that can help us move forward more powerfully with different
Mhm.
thought process. So when my marriage let go of trying to respond before she stopped speaking, because as I'm not sure if it's Steve Covey or Dale Carnage that mentioned. Oh my, the thought just left my mind here. It's basically seek to understand before you're understood. In other words,
Mhm.
if I'm listening to understand, I'm not listening to respond. I'm listening to understand the information that's coming to me. But if I'm listening to be understood, then I'll automatically butt in. I'll automatically interject my thoughts, and she wouldn't get to finish her thoughts of what she was trying to say, and it can go sideways after that,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
But and as myself and we were talking about here earlier too about there's a scripture that mentioned about be quick to hear, be quick to listen, and slow to speak. So
Mhm.
God is saying here, you know what? You try to listen more, and relationship can grow. Try to listen more, and you just have a different perspective and a love for that other individual if you just learn to listen more. And one thing that's beautiful, as we shared before, is that listen and silent have the same letters.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so
Listen,
cool. Yep.
listen, and silent have the same letters, and so that was an eye opener to me when I found that out some time ago.
Yeah.
Uh, another one that I had to let go of is because it's all about letting go. Here we're talking about this afternoon is let go of my money mindset. And
Mm.
us men can probably identify with that because you're always thinking about. I have Rashane here. He's shaking. My radio announcer, he's shaking his head. He knows where I'm going with this, right? Let go of this money mindset. Even before I retired, it was that question mark on my, like, they're saying I need to have $1 million, and I couldn't let go of that mindset of always wanted to have more. But I actually had some good coaching around my money mindset. And my wife, even just the other day, we're talking about. She says, "Yeah, you know what, you have let go a bit of this because
Mm.
when we go shopping, she just because you shop with your wife and she says, "Honey, man, this is nice," automatically I see dollar bills turning in my mindset here. Come on, can any men relate with me here?
Oh,
She never said she wanted it. She just says she likes it. So she's saying it might even be later on. It not necessarily mean I want to have it right now, but it's something that's beautiful. So I've learned to admire what she's admiring without going in my pocket and figuring out whether I can afford this or not. So
yeah.
with a bit of coaching for a while there around the money mindset, I've learned to let go. And that was a good friend of mine, coach, whose name is Nicholas Gron. You can look him up on Facebook. He's an excellent coach also.
Yes,
And
he
so
is.
with that different mindset, and Heather knows it quite well, with this different mindset of letting go, I felt more free. I felt
Mhm.
my wife and I, she can talk to me about money, and I don't have to start adding up the dollar bills of how much this is going to cost. And as wives, we like to dress up our house a certain way, right? But just because she sees this doesn't mean I want it right now. It might
Yeah.
be later, but so there's really no pressure on me. But I've learned to let go. And by me letting go of the money mindset, I've actually taken pressure off of myself
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
because it was costing me a bit of anxiety before. It was costing me my mindset going to different areas where I didn't really want it to go. And so it wasn't a good feeling. So I've learned to let go of the money mindset. Another thing that I've learned to let go of, men again can associate with this one, is learn to let go of the fact that I always have to be right.
Oh, okay. That's a biggie.
Why do I always feel like I have to be right? Maybe it's a man mindset that we figure we know it all. We figure that she doesn't know this. Let me tell you, we have some wives that I've said this before. Any man that has a good wife, if they listen to that wife, even half or three-quarters of the time, they'll be a lot farther in life than they are right now. I wonder if I can get an amen from somebody out there.
Amen. Absolutely. Yep.
If I had listened to my wife, my Lord, I could own this radio station, to be honest with you, because I'd be a two-time millionaire, and that's just in finance. That's not just in any other thing, right? So I've learned that I don't always have to be right
Yeah.
because I'd rather be happy. And so if
Mm.
you're always going to be right, my question is, what is that rightness costing you? Are
Yeah.
you really are you really happy while you're being right? Because you might not get no loving tonight. You might there might not be no intimacy for the next week or two. So
That's
I gotta
right.
shut this rightness down and realize, let us compromise, let us have a conversation, and let us see what is the best way to go about that. So
Yeah.
that's one of my three there that has really
Okay.
learned to let go.
That's a lot. That's a lot of work, but that's really great. Now, I want to ask you, um, what are you doing to make that happen for you? What are some tools or what's your technique to make those changes?
Oh, good, and that's great. Thanks for asking that. One of the tools is don't get caught up in my head
Mm,
because I'm telling myself stories that are not factual.
mhm,
They are just stories. So I learned to, in the coaching world, we say, I learned to shut those gremlins down. Those
mhm.
gremlins that's always saying, yeah, Bonito, you need to find this dollar, you need to do this, you need to do that. So I've learned to stop getting caught up in my own head and just be present with the moment and be present with her. And for me, that has really settled my spirit and settled her spirit because when I used to bring it up where money mindset wasn't there before,
Mhm,
it could be uncomfortable, right? So it's
mhm.
more comfortable now. So that's a tool that I have used for myself.
Nice. Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, these ways that we're talking about, these things we want to let go of, we've been practicing them for a lot of years, right?
Hmm.
They've been practiced, over practiced. And so when we're making these shifts and trying to and letting go of these things, different things on our list, we all have our own lists,
Right.
that takes a lot of practice too. It doesn't just come overnight. It
Hmm.
didn't, we've been, like I said, practiced it the wrong, one way, and now we're trying to change it to something new.
Right.
Having a skill to make that happen, a
Hmm.
plan or an action to take, and then purposefully practicing it. It takes a long time to get those wins that you're looking for, but they do come.
It does. As you were saying that, my mind goes back like, so how can the readers or the listeners that are listening to us implement an action? And the thought that was going through my mind is write down maybe at least three of these things or situation, whatever that you have an issue letting go of, and determine which one is going to be more priority for this week or for this month. So
Yeah.
you could take one of those a month and then really focus. And in order to get what you want now, you have to be conscious. My two words, I love that. Be conscious and you have to be intentional on a daily basis if you really want to see that change. Otherwise, you can wake up with a different mindset. Whatever happened, happens. No, if you know what you want to focus on, then things can happen. You'll generally move yourself within that direction. So for
Yeah.
those that are listening, yeah, name about three things that you might have issues with letting go of, and
Yeah.
then whether it be a month or whether it be a week, you work on the one, and you because it's going to be a habit. You have to make it to be a habit in order to change. And habits are not changed overnight. It's like some client come and they have an issue in their relationship. They've been married for 28 years, but they want to have the problem solved overnight. Well, that doesn't work. Their first conversation is just wetting the whistle, more or less, right? But it takes some work to really get to where they need to go after that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when you know why you're doing it or what the goal is, what it is you really want to accomplish,
Hmm.
that's like a strong, we call it a what for.
Right.
What am I doing this for? That always helps to motivate you as well to stay on task and make those changes,
Mhm.
make new patterns. I love that. Super cool.
So we use this word, the reason why many of us have issues in letting go. We use a term we call it limiting beliefs. You want to expound on that a little bit about limiting beliefs? What do they mean by limiting beliefs for some of those that might have a question mark around that, and maybe some
Yeah.
examples that was
Yeah.
even mentioned in our conversation already, but we just didn't use the word limiting beliefs.
Sure. Sure. You
Go ahead.
know, letting go of these topics or these, coming up with these three things of things you want to let go of.
Hmm.
Letting go of, like you said, of your limited belief or limiting beliefs. So
Hmm.
one of my limiting beliefs in my marriage was
Hmm.
that my husband, um, it's his job to make me happy. My happiness
Hmm.
comes from him, or a big, not all of it, but a big chunk of it.
Well, that took a pressure off of me. Okay.
Yes. So that's a lot, right? That's a lot for you guys, and
It
that's
is. It
it's not
is.
factual. That's not. But I believe that how he'd respond to something, how
Hmm.
he would think to spoil me on Valentine's Day. It didn't
Right.
happen sometimes. So then
Mm.
that now I'm not happy. He didn't help create my
Wow.
happiness. How he didn't notice I was wearing something new or looked nice or
Mhm.
that I did something around the house or whatever that is. For me, that was a huge limiting belief that my happiness needed to come from him. He was one of my sources,
Wow.
or my biggest source. And of course, obviously, my walk with God is number one,
Right.
and
Beautiful.
that's where the best love comes from. But also realizing that my happy is my job. That's my responsibility. So to be filling up my own cup, doing things for myself in a day that light me up, that give me joy, that give me uh, that source me, that help me to carry on with the rest of my day and my other things. And to
Beautiful.
realize too that my empty cup, when it's empty, and it does
Mhm,
happen often,
mhm,
that makes a grumpy Heather. And so that's not a fun thing in my marriage. That's not, I don't want to show up in my marriage as a grump,
mhm.
but I can get there pretty quickly if I'm not doing some things for myself that source me and that fill my cup for sure. And when my cup is low and I'm believing that it's Mike who needs to create my happy,
Right,
then I have a saying that I use often is whatever I focus on grows, whatever
right,
I water grows. So if I start watering that belief, that disempowering belief or limiting belief, as you said, Benito,
right.
that becomes huge. Now his lack of doing something for me and not creating my happy for me becomes a huge factor in my life, and that's where my focus lies. And I can't see past it. It just can be all consuming, and then we're in a bad place. Then I'm not, I'm a little chilly, or I'm disappointed, or I'm hurt, and it just goes down a whole big rabbit hole for me.
Wow. So, as you just mentioned that too, what did you notice? What change did you notice about your husband when you realized that it wasn't his duty now to make you happy? What shifted for him in that relationship?
Oh, that's a great question, Benito. You know, I see Mike as well, I just want to tell all ladies out there that when you create your own happy, when you show up happy and you've
Mhm.
done that for yourself,
Right.
and there's such a long list of what that can look like for you, I happy is attractive. Happy is something everybody wants to be around,
Yes.
and it's a magnet. And so my hubby, to me, what I see him do is enjoy me more. That
Mm,
the pressure's off of him,
okay.
and the judgment is off of him, and
Mhm.
the criticism, and he just gets to enjoy happy Heather when I do the work I want to do for me.
Oh, beautiful.
And I get to spend more time with him. I get to he wants to spend more time with me. So that's
Mm,
probably the biggest shift I've seen with in our marriage.
okay.
And I've seen in other women's marriages too, the women I work with. Same
Mhm.
thing. It's just they're attracted to happy. You just can't get enough. And even when they're workaholics or they're off doing other things, or spending their time elsewhere, and
Right.
women complaining or being hurt by, he doesn't want to hang out with me, he doesn't want to spend time with me, and I'm on my own a lot. Boy,
Mm.
when you make that shift and you create your own happy, you watch him come and hang out and want to join your happy. It's very, very attractive.
Oh, beautiful. That's
Mhm.
something too well, I mentioned when we're dealing with premarital couples is question is how happy really are you individually? Because
Mhm.
if you're waiting for the other individual to inject or to make you happy, that means when things go wrong, and per se, if he did leave, so what? He's taking his happiness with him. Now you become empty. So it's so beautiful that you mentioned that. Yeah, absolutely. Be happy. Be happy, folks, before you get into a relationship, or even if you're in a relationship. She's telling you to take the pressure off of your husband.
Absolutely. Give them a break, girls, and do it yourself, because I mean, I'm hard to please sometimes, but I know what I want and what's good for me. So when I go and do that myself, everybody's happy. Everybody's happy around me. There, everybody wins, but especially me.
Even the dog wags its tail when everybody's happy.
Exactly, exactly. And another area, Benito, that you brought up in regards to uh, limiting beliefs or
Mhm.
disempowering beliefs that we have in our life is, for me, it figuring out and having an awareness now, is around my stories. That we
Okay.
all, I mentioned earlier that we can be meaning making machines in
Mhm.
our lives. My husband might say something a certain way or not say something,
Right.
or I hear the dog barking down the road and think, oh, well, I know what's happening over there. I've got a whole story around it. They haven't been home all day. That dog is hungry. It needs to get walked. Someone might be breaking into the house and nobody's there to help it. Like, and I'm not even a big dog fan, but that's just my story. But just as an example of how we attach meaning. If we don't know the facts, then
Mm.
we make everything mean something.
Right. Right.
And that's dangerous in my relationship. That's another area I've had to try and let go of, or working on letting go of,
Mhm.
is not getting caught up in my stories. And I create stories so fast, so fast. Um, but that doesn't then I start to believe them. They become very true to me,
Right.
and then that's a limiting belief, because they
Mhm.
become facts, or they become truth to me, and
Right.
then that limits what could be going on for us. And so a great tool or a great thing to do around that is to find and focus on the facts.
Mm.
So the dog down the street barking,
Mhm.
the fact is I just can hear a dog barking. That's the only fact I've got. I don't have any other information that's a fact. And so I get to just leave it there, or go and investigate, I guess, and find some facts if I want to. But when my husband comes home, maybe a little bit grumpy, and I think right away, oh, well, I must have done something wrong, or
Mm.
he's not happy with something I did or didn't do, or gee, that's I've had a hard day too. You got what I don't know. That's not your business to come in here and be Mr. Grumpy. Like that doesn't
Mhm.
help me. That doesn't make me happy. So I can do this story thing so fast, but when I choose to focus on the facts, to find them first and then focus on them, it's a
Mhm.
big game changer, total game changer. So
Beautiful.
that's been something in my life that's helped me to check. Okay, what's going on now? What am I telling myself?
Mhm.
And then saying, well, what facts do I really have around this? And
Mm.
I was shocked. When I was working with one of the coaches I've worked with in the past, amazing woman, and I was having Mike and I had a bit of a tiff. This was years ago, and he was leaving town, and I said, well, he needs to fix this before he leaves, because you shouldn't leave and be separated from each other and not be happy, sorry, not happy, be sour with each other. And she said, oh, Heather, have you mentioned to Mike what the other rules in your marriage are that he should know about? I was like, you're not getting this. Like, that's not the story I had created. Was That's just how it's supposed to be, and that's a rule and a Heather rule.
Mm.
And she just didn't understand me, this coach. She just wasn't getting it. But yet she was really pointing something out that was really
Yep.
important for me, and recognizing I had a story going on of
Mhm.
what it should be like. Actual fact was, I could have gone to Mike, which I did choose to do, and open up the line of communication and get things cleared up with the both of us. And
Mm.
he did too. And he was grateful for it. This relief I saw on his face, like, okay, good, we can talk about it. And you're not waiting for me to fix it because I'm terrible at this. And I took the first step, and we just did a beautiful reunion again before he left for a period of time. So um, yeah, when I believe my stories, and when I watch other women believe theirs, and I get to call them
Right.
out on them, to say, hey girls, what's the story you got going on there? And they're like, no,
Mm.
no story. It's like, no, let's look at it. And they're like, oh, it's a huge story and it's not serving me. And we're not very good fact finders because we don't practice that a lot. So that's a muscle to strengthen as well in our lives and in our marriages and all of our relationships. Because of
Definitely.
our fears and our doubts and our insecurities, we are good
Mm.
storytellers. So it's just great to have awareness of what's going on. Is that a story or is that a fact?
No, beautiful. As you mentioned that, thanks for sharing that.
Hmm.
I mentioned the time too. I said something to my wife. It probably wasn't pleasant. She went to work,
What?
and I know she's coming home in another 8 hours, and I'm trying to think. I know I've got to say I'm sorry. Why is this so hard for me to actually come up and say that I'm sorry? And again, I was telling myself stories of maybe she might reject it. Maybe she might think I'm being true to myself, whatever. But I found just to muster up those words to say I'm sorry, not just I'm sorry, but I'm sorry because I might have made you felt such and such a way, or I'm sorry, and now I'm gonna change my behavior pertaining to what I did. But it was such a relief when she did come home, and I don't know why I was nervous about this. And this is after married for quite a few years. Those are probably one of the two words that's the hardest to say in a relationship because
You
it
bet.
requires humility.
Oh.
Requires for you thinking and saying, "Honey, I was wrong, right?
Mhm.
I was not right, and because I wasn't right, I wanna make things right." So I make things right by saying when she came back home, I told her I was sorry, and we hugged, and then everything just was blossoming from there. Everything was just moving forward in a powerful way.
Yeah.
Um, I know we're, coming close to our end here coming up. But I wanted to bring out a thought that we had discussed here earlier about limiting beliefs about a certain woman that was in the Bible, that she might have had some limiting beliefs, but she had pushed through that because we're still talking about letting go. So Mark 5, I believe it's found in Mark 5 and 34. it's about the woman with the issue of blood, and she had this issue of blood for 12 years, and she's one of the only. I believe she's the only woman in the New Testament where Jesus actually called daughter. I mean, for her to call her daughter when everybody else was calling her something else, that alone was amazing. Was amazing to her, right? Just by calling her daughter. It was divinity calling humanity daughter. I mean, what a connection. But even
Mhm.
before she went, and the Bible let us know that she touched the hem of his garment, but there was a lot that transpired before she actually touched the hem of his garment. There's some beliefs that she had to let go before she pushed through to touch the hem of his garment. So she could have had made a series of proposal, but none of them would have worked out. She could have said, if I could ask him to touch me, but maybe he might not want to touch me. I mean, to be able to touch someone like me, nobody would even want to be around me. I can't even go into the house of God to worship. So why would you want to touch me? But in spite of her limited beliefs, I believe she still kept on pushing forward. And another one she could have had was um, if I could, uh, if I could just ask him to say a word of healing over me, but he might not even give a ear to someone like me that nobody wants to listen to. Another one of her limiting belief that she could have had, but she kept on pushing forward, because I'm determined that our limiting beliefs is it's not there to hold us back, but it can propel us into something beautiful. Another one she could have said was, if I could only touch his hands, but I'd have to get close, and I just can't get close enough. There's so many, his entourage is around him. There's so many people around him. So why would I want to do that? But she kept on pushing ahead. But then she said, if I can only touch his garment, but to get that close, I'd have to be stronger. I'd have to be favored by the worthy people that are around me. But what is so beautiful about that story is there was a lot of individuals that was around Jesus that had things in their lives that they needed to let go of, but didn't recognize who was in their midst. He was on the way to heal Jairus' daughter, but on his way to healing Jairus' daughter, there was a crowd that was going there with him, but there was a woman that was determined that I've got to let go of this issue of blood. I've got to let go of this unrighteousness that I feel. I got to let go of this limiting beliefs where I'm no good and I'm good for nothing. And she kept on pushing through until she finally touched the hem of his garment. And then you know the story. Jesus turned around and he said, "Who touched me?" The
Mhm.
disciples, because something had been released from him. Something had been let go from him, and something was letting go from what the woman was experimenting. But you know, the disciple says, "Lord, like, come on, basically, Lord, like really, there's so many people around you, and you're actually asking." Who touched me? Like, come on. He says, no. He said, I felt something leaving me. I felt
Mhm.
virtue leaving me, and it was actually that virtue was being displaced into someone that had a need. So I brought that story out because this individual was determined that I'm going to let go of this belief that I cannot be healed, because I've spent every ounce of dollars that I have, and this is my last hope. And it's interesting with society is that we turn to Jesus Christ as a last hope after we have spent everything. And so
Mhm.
I'm going to be closing off here. I mean, we can go on for quite a ways, but there's a beautiful poem about letting go of letting go, that she let go, and I wonder if you could just read that to me as we close off here tonight. Let-
Absolutely. It's called She Let Go. Without a thought or a word, she let go. She let go of fear. She let go of the judgments.
Mm,
She let go of the confluence of opinions swarming around her head.
right.
She let go of the committee of indecision within her. She let go of all the right reasons wholly and completely. Without hesitation or worry, she just let go. She
Mm,
didn't ask anyone for advice. She didn't read a book on how to let go. She didn't search the scriptures. She just let go.
mm,
She let go of all the memories that held her back. She let go of all the anxiety that kept her from moving forward.
wow.
She let go of the planning and all the calculations about how to do it just right.
Right.
She didn't promise to let go. She didn't journal about it. She didn't write the project date down in her daytimer.
Hmm.
She made a public announcement and paid and didn't put an ad in the paper. She didn't check the weather report or read her daily horoscope. She just let go.
Beautiful.
She didn't analyze whether she should let go. She didn't call a friend to discuss the matter. She didn't do a 5-step spiritual mind treatment. She didn't tell the prayer line. She didn't utter one word. She just let go. No one was around when it happened. There was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked her or praised her. No one noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, she just let go. There was no effect. There was no struggle. It wasn't good and it wasn't bad. It was what it was, and it is just that. In the space of letting go, she let it all be. A small smile came over her face. A light breeze blew through her, and the sun and the moon shone forevermore.
Wow.
Very powerful.
Beautiful. Beautiful. She
Mm-hmm.
just let go. And that's a poem by Reverend Sapphire Rose that is so beautiful, beautiful written. So as we come to our close night, we'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us this evening with Heather Pietnik, who is a relationship and life coach, serving God in a purposeful way and with her passion, and myself serving individuals. And we believe in changing lives just one conversation at a time. And my motto when it comes to relationship is reducing world divorce by one conversation at a time. So we're here to help individuals, amen, that's stuck in life, individuals that's married, that has a communication issue, you have conflict, your requirements are all over the place, your needs are not being met, and so much more. Women that are not feeling fulfilled, men that are not being heard. So we just bring everything together so you can have and you can communicate like you need to communicate and feel supported by one another. And also, as you journey with us, you can also be more emotionally connected to one another. So we'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining, and you can always get a hold of us on our WhatsApp number, which is 825-343-4486 at the Higher Ground Gospel Station. So we thank you for tuning in tonight. And as you might know, Heather, this will not be the last time that you'll be joining us. We really appreciate you having the time and spending the time. You know, folks, at first when I did ask her to come on, she said no, but then she warmed up and she says, "I'm going to do this." So
Thanks, Bonitto.
we're doing this together. So
We're doing.
I really
Yes, we
appreciate
are.
you. I really appreciate you coming in. Is there any last word that you'd like to leave with our audience before we sign off, Heather?
Yeah, but thank you so much for encouraging me to do this with you, for having me. It's been a blast. It's been so fun and so awesome to share with everybody out there what they're capable of, what can shift in their marriages, what can shift in their relationships, and I just really encourage everybody out there to give Bonitto a call. His coaching is incredible. Incredible man of God, loves his family, passionate about his family and marriages, and he's a guy who has taught me a ton as a coach and been a terrific mentor to me as well. And I just encourage everybody out there to just give him a call. He'll give you a freebie call. Like you said, talk to you for half an hour, 45 minutes. He's a great listener, and you can change your marriage. There's so much hope out there, and so many. It's just a great resource. So don't hesitate to just investigate and just explore what can be different in your relationships.
Amen. And thank you for that,
Cool.
for sharing. Also, back to you, Heather. Also, ladies out there, well, wives that are struggling or individual ladies that are struggling, Heather has just a unique way of helping women reach their full potential. I have sent her clients in the past, and one individual I know that's working with her, and her life is changing, her relationship is changing. So, yeah, we're both open up to 30, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour, complimentary call. It don't cost you nothing. And after that conversation, then we can see where we can go from there. So God bless each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. And Heather, we will talk to you again in the future.
Take care. God bless.
God
Thanks.
bless you. Bye.
Lord, have mercy. Let me take you there. Lord, have mercy.
You're tuned to High Ground Gospel Radio. Thank you for listening to Transforming Your Relationships. Join us again next Friday at 5 for another program. You're tuned to Higher Ground Gospel Radio, reaching at the highest mountain and the lowest